Welcome to Social Truth, Episode 1. I'm Andy Sikora.
And I'm Matt Kitchen. Social Truth is the internet television show for the social news discussion site, socialtruth.com, where we take stories from all different kinds of categories like politics, entertainment, world affairs, etc., toss them online, comment on them, and bring our favorite ones to you, like this. So, that's what we do. Let's get rolling.
All right, let's start.
Yeah. So basically wanted to quickly go over, we had a poll on the website because we were talking about that whole abortion thing. So we asked basically everybody the probability that the abortion would be banned in the next 15 years. And the overwhelming majority, somewhat overwhelming majority, 40% of you thought that they can see it going either way. It might be banned, it might not be banned. And then two next would be, it might happen, probably not. That was 22%, and definitely not going to happen is 27%. And 9% thought it might not, but probably will, which they're the outliers.
Yeah.
So we post polls after each show. So go there. We're having another poll that we're going to talk about at the end of this show today. And so you go on the website on the right-hand side of the poll, vote in that, and participate in that. And also participate in our forums. We had just one that I wanted to mention. We had a member started a forum about voting. Because we mentioned that briefly in the last show, kind of off topic, but we talked about it. And it's just a cool discussion, you know, voting. He was like, it was our civic duty to vote. We need to vote, you know. And another guy was like, I don't really think it's a civic duty, and I just think I need to learn to live with whoever comes out, and that's my duty. So it's great to get people's opinions on that. That's what we're all about. That's why we're here, and just to harvest the truth from that. So go to the forums and post and vote in the polls, and we'll talk about those on each show at the beginning, like this, and. But right now, we're just going to go ahead and jump into the first story.
All right, the first story. Here's one of the stories that we drew from. Bush makes surprise first visit to Afghanistan. On his first visit to the country, U.S. President George Bush praised the progress of democracy in Afghanistan and said he was confident that Osama bin Laden will be brought to justice. I posted on this story, and basically I was talking more about what was going on behind the scenes than what was actually happening, or maybe the intentions of these trips. President Bush went on these trips all over the place. He went to Afghanistan to surprise the troops, probably to boost morale.
Hey guys.
Yeah, hey guys, you're doing a great job. I'm out of here.
Yeah, seriously. This must be hard.
Yeah, I got to go to India. So he goes to India and he meets with the, I don't know if it's president or prime minister.
Yeah.
The dude in charge in India. He's got a big job. India's huge. And they basically they have a new arms agreement that brought India in when they've never been brought before because they'd never signed
the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Yes.
So basically, they in essence, Bush is trying to make India a world nuclear power without having to sign this treaty, and the treaty states that they're not going to that a country that signs the treaty is not going to make weapons,
right.
And going to disarm all their other nuclear weapons. So he's basically saying, hey, you can be a nuclear power and make weapons if you want.
Which seems like a bad idea.
Doesn't seem like a good one, that's for sure.
And that's still up for Congress to basically pass, and we'll see what happens with that.
Right.
While he was there, he went and visited a memorial to Gandhi to pay tribute to him, which seems like a really sweet deal. Kind of felt like, to me, he was doing it for show. Not that he doesn't care about what Gandhi was about or whatever, but while there, he picked up and laid a wreath 7 different times so that everybody could get their picture taken.
Now, is 7 a significant number there? Or is that just
I don't think it was a significant number. No, it was more like, holy cow, there's a lot of reporters. I'll do this again.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
From there, he goes to Pakistan to basically say, hey, we're holding strong in this war on terror. Pakistan, some of the reporters there were like, hey, since India can make nuclear weapons, can we? And he's like, oh, no, you don't have, no way. And from
which is such a bad idea because, not that I think we should let Pakistan make nuclear weapons, I don't think we should let India.
India as well.
Because India and Pakistan are like, oh, we don't like each other, and so letting one do it and let the other one not do it.
Bad idea.
Yeah, but I'm sure Pakistan's doing it behind our back. Anyway, go ahead.
and then he went from Pakistan back to America, went down to New Orleans to basically boost awareness of his plan to bring $19.8 billion to rebuild New Orleans.
And refute some allegations that he knew stuff that he said he didn't.
Sure, like that the levees could break. They knew that before the storm hit, and they said that they didn't. Basically, my allegation, it's an allegation, I would say it's an allegation.
Fair enough.
On the
Friends, say it
website
on.
was that most of these things, I mean, obviously the president's going to do presidential things, go meet with other leaders, sign kind of treaties, boost morale of troops, but it seems like a lot of the things that he did in the last week were in response to low approval ratings. In the last week, we found out that his approval ratings were at an all-time low. Some saying as low as 31%, up to about 41%. But that is low for a president to have 31%. That means 70% of the country is thinking you could be doing a better job. And so a lot of this stuff seemed to me that he was doing this to try and garner public opinion.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and it's I see where you're coming from.
Sure.
And you're blowing it out of proportion.
You think I'm blowing it out of
I
proportion?
totally think. Here's the thing, like you said, he has to do these things, and every president does these things, and they're important to do. And I think laying the wreath down 7 times is a little excessive, and
Sure.
That might be a little good for his people. But his opinion rating is so low right now. Nothing that he did is going to raise it to a level, or could possibly spurn
Right.
a level raising that's going to be worthwhile.
I see what you're saying.
These were just necessary meetings I think he had to do. Now I think the Afghanistan one, he couldn't announce that because Afghanistan's so, you know, I don't know.
Pakistan's just as dangerous. I mean, right before he lands
Right,
there,
that's true.
there's a car bombing.
They were bombing
diplomats killed.
Isn't that sad? Like, I wonder if he didn't make this trip, if he would have saved a lot of people's lives.
It's weird.
That's
Here's
weird.
the thing. I'm not trying to say that presidents shouldn't be worried about public opinion.
Right.
I think we all are. And you and I, if somebody doesn't
Right.
like me, I will do whatever it takes to make it look good so that I can build that morale back up or that relationship back up.
Don't say do whatever it takes.
Not do whatever it takes.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But it does make me nervous to know that some political decisions are made based on what other people will think. I just wonder if I make this decision, does that get more votes? If I make this decision, does that help the party? If I make this decision, will I have more people on my side? And if that's the way that decisions are made, maybe the best decisions aren't being made.
Okay, now I see your point there. I think that's a better point than what you originally said.
Okay, I'm all right with that.
I can go with that.
I'm rolling into some better talk
Yeah, that's
here.
right. That's right. And I think that's. I'll let you go with that.
I think I might have just won that round.
Wait. That's
No,
not-
okay,
we're not
going on to
keeping-
the
not
next
keeping
story.
score.
Next story.
Next.
All right. We are going to talk about the Oscars. Here it is. Update. Well, I don't need to
No,
say
you don't need
update
to say
to
that.
everyone. All right. Crash pulls off Best Picture Oscar. The ensemble drama Crash pulled off one of the biggest upsets in Academy Awards history, winning Best Picture Sunday over the Cowboy Romance, Brokeback Mountain, which had been the frontrunner.
Because Brokeback Mountain won the Screen Actors Guild Award and the Golden Globe Awards, and it was assumed they were going to win
Right.
the Academy Award for Best Picture.
But
they didn't.
They didn't. Brokeback also won Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Director. And it seemed as if they were kind of walking into Best Picture. But then in a surprise move, Crash wins.
Crash won a few awards though. They won
some.
their original screenplays. So
And Best Song, which I don't know if you saw, but it was off the chart.
They kept playing it.
They set a car on fire on the Oscars.
Did they really?
They did.
And so
the rap group is called 3-6 Mafia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Wait, that's not from Crash though.
No, it is from Crash.
What?
It's nuts, dude.
No, it's not from Crash.
It is. It's from Crash. I promise it's from Crash.
It's from the Terrence Howard film. The
It's from
10th
Crash.
film.
No, it's from Hustle and Flow.
Hustle and Flow. Round 2 goes to me.
I didn't know we were getting scores for that. Okay, so he
doesn't
wins.
matter.
And I didn't see Hustle and Flow. I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
But I heard it's great.
Anyway.
This is the interesting thing to me is that all of the films nominated for Best Picture seem to have some sort of political agenda or some sort of social agenda that they were trying to get out there. Here are the films: Crash, Brokeback Mountain. We talked about those. Capote, which basically publicized the life of a man in the 50s, Truman Capote, who was a homosexual in an area that didn't accept it.
Right.
And that really wasn't the point of the movie, but it was part of it.
Underlying thing.
Good Night and Good Luck, which was about the McCarthy hearings of the 50s.
So that was, yeah, very
And then
interesting.
Munich, which is about the terrorist attacks and
it's-
kind of the follow-up of that.
Yeah.
I'm
And
interested
Crash,
in
I don't
this.
think we talked about what Crash was.
yeah.
Crash was about racism and to look from the insides of racism out so that you can see what racism is all about. in
Yeah,
different
and how
perspectives.
everybody...
And how everyone's basically racist
Yeah.
at some level.
Yeah, whether you agree with that or not, that's what Crash was basically
Right.
saying it
If you
is.
don't, let us know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's interesting because all 5 of these pictures and 2 others that gained awards for Best Supporting Actor and Actresses was Syriana and then The Constant Gardener. All of these movies had political undertones or overtones, overtly political. And we were talking before this that you were kind of saying, I don't know if this is why people aren't going to the movies or whatever. But it's interesting because all the 5 movies that were up for rewards had private investors behind them. That there was people who
that have a political agenda.
Well,
is that what you're saying?
maybe they do or maybe they don't. But major studios weren't making these movies, and it took a guy behind the scenes to say, you know what? I believe that this message needs to get out there enough that I will pay to get it out there.
Right.
Crash, Brokeback Mountain,
Well,
Capote.
Eventually major cinemas are obviously...
They got behind it, but most of it was
still wasn't
private
started by
investors.
that. Right.
Right.
Actually, the guy who did... I don't want to go down that tangent, never mind.
That's fine.
But I see what you're saying. I think, once again, you might be reading a little too much into it.
I don't know.
But I think it's interesting to see the political... I think it only makes interesting if it's political agenda that they're trying to follow.
Right.
And I don't know how much... I think there is a lot of people that want to make these things people more aware of these different situations in life and stuff like that. I don't know.
I think that if someone believes in something enough, they will leverage whatever they have to get the message out there. And if you're an artist, whether you're a musician, you're a painter, you're an actor, or you're a director, you will do whatever it takes to get your message out there.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say that they are trying to change the landscape of our country, although they might be. I think that there's reasons that they put movies out there like this. And Matt and I disagree on this, but I think that America reacts in some ways to this because none of these movies gained over $80 million. Whereas movies like King Kong, Chronicles of Narnia, they gained a lot more money, and there was no political agenda out there. Like, I don't feel like that we were trying to say, hey, don't be mean to giant apes, or if you find a lion, you should follow him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stories.
Chronicles of Narnia had an agenda.
Yeah, I guess it had an agenda, but
but at the same time, those are more family-friendly movies.
Exactly.
And those are what gets the most people to the theaters because you have the widest array. Because you can take 2-year-olds to go see Chronicles of Narnia, and you can take you,
who thinks like a 2-year-old sometimes.
That's true. And so you're wrong. Next story.
I think I'm right.
All right. So the next story is Iran rattles nuclear meeting, threatening harm and pain. So basically, what happened was Iran is right now, actually still going on right now.
Sure.
It's a big ongoing saga where Iran wants to develop nuclear, what they say, just nuclear energy.
Energy.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying with
and
this.
they want to be able to enrich their own uranium, which enriching uranium is a process where you make uranium volatile enough to either produce energy or produce death.
Yes.
And bombs. You like that?
I don't know why I just laughed. That was not funny.
Oh, yeah. So anyway.
Send them to eat him.
So basically, everyone's like, whoa, Iran and nukes. Don't think it's a great idea. They might hurt us. Apparently, India wouldn't hurt us, but Iran probably would hurt us.
Right.
So U.S. and its big brother friends sweep in and say, hey, don't do this. They got China on the board, Russia on the board, lots of other countries on the board.
Basically, the ones who are making.
Right, basically the nuclear powers right now. And so then they're like, well, what we'll do is they have a plan. We'll send Russia in to talk to them. And Russia's like, hey, we'll enrich your uranium for you, UPS the product to you, and then you can
UPS.
And then
We're going to UPS uranium.
Yeah, it comes in a little small package, and then you can assemble it there in country for your energy production.
Amazon.com package.
Right. Don't look for it there. You can't find uranium. And then Iran was like, well, maybe we can just enrich a little uranium here in Iran.
Just to see what it's like.
Just to see what it's like. Just to see if it's fun.
We want to see what we can do.
And Russia was like, okay. And then the U.S. was like, no. And so...
That was well done.
We didn't plan that. And so, basically, U.S. comes in, says no, stops the talks. Russia's like, okay, whatever. There goes a few million. And then Iran's like, well, basically, screw you guys.
There's this great quote from the guy from Iran.
I'm going to go ahead and read it?
Yeah.
Right here.
The United States, this is the dude who's a part of the negotiations at this meeting. He tells reporters this. The United States may have the power to cause harm and pain, but it is also susceptible to harm and pain. So if the United States wants to pursue that path, let the ball roll.
The veritable ball of harm and pain roll.
That's
hard. That's hardcore. That's a hardcore quote.
He's not just saying that. This was not just an off-the-cuff remark. He said this statement many times throughout the week in different speeches and to different reporters. This was a common line that their government apparently is okay to take. basically saying, if the U.S. wants to roll this way, we're ready. Bring it on. Now, I don't know if they've ever looked next door in Iraq, but it's not working out too good over there for them.
Right.
You know, I'm not in favor of going and busting up some countries, but I don't think you want to challenge us.
There's talks that Iran's actually sending troops into Iraq to help.
No way.
Defend Iraq.
To help defend
Or
Iraq?
to help
Like
the,
to help the insurgents?
Yeah, I've read stories on that.
No way.
Yeah, so that might be the ball rolling.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it really is. So, right, so they're basically
Man.
saying they're not afraid to do. I mean, not necessarily start a war against U.S. stop, but I mean, there are economic ways, political ways,
Right.
and violent ways that they can
Sure.
do to stop us. And so they're saying, if you guys want to dictate us what we can and cannot do, then we can go ahead and dictate to you
Sure.
some bad things as well. What are you saying?
It's interesting because Russia, the dude who was negotiating with Russia, he was also a part of the whole negotiations with Iraq about 10 years ago, and he said he feels like this is a lot the same way. If we put sanctions on Iran, which are pretty much the same sanctions we put on Iraq, we're basically creating a process that will lead to a conflict like we have in Iraq right now.
Yes and no. I think so. I don't think the and this might be due to lack of research. I don't think the political leader is as volatile as Saddam Hussein is, though. So I think there's always potential to go that way once you have some nukes in your left pocket. But at the same time, I don't think we're sprinting on
I
towards that
wonder
yet.
how much, and we can talk about this just for like 1 second, but I wonder how much of this is about defiance than it is about weapons. Like, don't tell us what to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, and whether or not you believe that there somewhere is weapons of mass destruction from Iraq,
Right.
It seems like these dudes are basically saying, you cannot tell us what to do. This is our country.
Right.
And it doesn't even get to the question of, do we have these WMDs or not? It's like, it's none of your business.
Right. Well, people are just sick of the U.S. leading. I mean, U.S. pretty much led this. It's obviously sanctioned by UN and everything like that.
Yeah.
But U.S. led this. People are sick of U.S. coming into countries and saying, we don't think you should do this, don't do it.
Right.
And it's really this whole, big brother mentality that U.S. can go around and dictate us. And so I think the truth that comes out of this, or the social setting, is just that we as a country, I fear that we trust our force and our scare tactics way more than we trust our negotiations.
Right.
And I think once again, it's probably more difficult to negotiate with Iran than I would naturally think.
Right. It's not like you can just sit down and talk about it.
Right. Yeah. Sip some tea and discuss world affairs. But at the same time, I do not feel like we're exhausting. Maybe more so this way than we did in Iraq. I still don't feel like we're exhausting every single possible resource.
Sure.
I think we're headed towards a path of some type of conflict with Iran.
Right.
And I don't know. It scares me that we rely more on our force and our scare tactics than we do on.
Sure.
Rather than going in there and saying, hey, let's talk about what we can do with. It sounds so like pacifistic and so lame,
Right.
but at the same time, I think there's some truth to that.
I think you're right on in the truth, and the question still remains. Like when we say, should we be using fear tactics or not? The question is, how do you deal with problems like this? Because we're talking about people with different agendas, different backgrounds, different beliefs, and it just seems like might makes right in this situation.
Right. And the question also begs, is it better to leave a potentially dangerous country alone to develop potentially dangerous threats and then have them just be out there ready to launch them? Or is it better to go in there and by force already cause some losses to stop those potentially dangerous threats? And if we go on that path continually, we're not going to have enough force to stop every potentially dangerous threat across the world.
And we're going to have more enemies than we know what to do with.
Yes. And sure.
You're gonna go ahead and post on that and tell us we're totally wrong and we don't understand anything.
And we'd love to hear it.
Yes.
And we'll talk about it if you do. So next. All right. The next story is Feds probe record companies over online music prices. The Department of Justice has opened an antitrust probe into possible collusion by the major music companies in setting prices for downloads on popular digital services such as Apple's iTunes.
Can I say something before we get started?
I would love for you to say something.
I love the word collusion.
I know.
I wish I could use it more often.
And do you know what the word collusion is? You did because I told you.
He told me. No. Why don't you tell? I know, of course. Tell these guys.
Let me talk to you about collusion.
Yes.
Collusion is basically when a number of people get together that are all the same persuasion. That made no sense. Let me start
Persuasion.
again.
They all like pizza.
Let me talk about this for a second. So there's 4 major music companies, right? Sony, BMG, and 3 others I can't think of right now. Okay? They get together and they're like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we set our prices at this level up here, even though we could charge down here, and then everybody has to pay us. And since none of us are going to be in competition with each other, none of us care about lowering to get more sales, then
it's like, let's make a deal. Like, if we make this deal, you can sell it for $15, I'll sell it for $15, he sells it for $15.
Right.
If we all agree to sell it for $15,
right, unnecessarily
okay.
so for $15,
yeah.
right.
But if that dude sells it for $11, we're all screwed.
Right.
Okay.
So this question of if this is legal or if they're doing this collusion activity came about, in theory, I think because there were talks about Steve Jobs, who's the CEO of Apple and the iTunes Store. The music companies were coming to him and saying, we need to charge more money for specific songs.
Sure.
So
because they're more popular.
Because they're more popular. So the hit new songs that are coming out right now, we need to charge maybe $1.50 for those.
Sure.
And those old show tunes that only your grandmother downloads.
Or my wife.
Or we need to charge 50 cents or 99 cents for that. So basically.
I'm totally screwed.
I know. I'm hoping I'm there to see that. So here's the thing. Here's a price breakdown for that. So right now a song costs 99 cents on iTunes. Let's just call it $1. Okay. So right. So apparently this is kind of conjecture because Apple hasn't released these. But apparently Apple's only making pennies on the dollar. So they're making 4 to 5 cents a song.
So
roughly.
a shiny nickel.
A shiny nickel, and it goes in Steve Jobs' pocket, and he buys ice cream with it. And so from that. So that leaves you 95 cents. So 25 cents of that, in theory, goes directly to the artist. Now I don't know how that money can be pipelined directly to the artist. It usually has to go through some kind of channel first, which I'm sure takes a cut out of it. But in theory, it's good to buy music on iTunes because more money of it goes directly to the artist. Like when you buy a CD, when you buy a CD, probably only 25 cents of that goes. Anyway, so more money goes to the artist, 25 cents. But that would leave 70 cents to go directly to the music company, which is 70% of all the money sold on iTunes goes to the record companies. And iTunes just sold their 1 billionth song.
I don't know what that adds up to, but that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
70 cents times 1 billion.
Yeah.
70 cent billion.
70 cent billion. I think it's 700 million actually.
Okay, that's good math.
That's a lot of money.
So you're telling me if they raise the price to $1.50, that not just 70 cents, but they'd be making $1.20?
Right.
They would be $1.20 off of
They would be making, if they're making a killing now, they would be making a slaughtering then.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why this whole investigation supposedly is going on, because they have to see maybe the 70 cent level right now is ridiculous and they can even lower that down. Or maybe it's fine where it's at and they have no reason to ask for more and they have no legal grounds to ask for more money.
So let me ask you this. You're telling me that you think that every song is pretty much equal in value. I mean, you're saying that we should only pay 99 cents for a song, or if the rate is $1.50 or whatever the rate is.
I would lean more towards that, yes.
You think that all songs... Okay, let me ask you this. There's a song, and I shudder to admit this, but there's a song by Mariah Carey that I heard on the radio a couple times. I don't even listen to the radio except for when I'm in the car with my wife.
And Mariah Carey's on the radio, apparently.
I love Mariah Carey, but the Shake It Off song, right? It's so catchy, and I heard it and I loved it, and so I went to iTunes and I downloaded the song. I paid 99 cents because I thought, what's $1? I mean, what's $1? Come on, what's $1? $1. It's 90. It was only 99 cents.
It's $100
is 100 cents. Anyway, I downloaded this song because I heard it on the radio. Now, Mariah Carey is probably making more money than, say, like Death Cab for Cutie or like
the bands that we
good bands.
Yeah, the bands you should be listening to instead of Mariah Carey.
She's probably making more money off of that. So, is it wrong for the record company to say, "Listen, we're paying Mariah Carey a ton more money. We should be making a little bit more money off of this, so that
because she's because she's more popular, and she's going to be and we have to pay more.
Kanye and all these dudes
who
are hot stuff right now.
No, because they shouldn't have to. Because no matter what, you're still selling that music, and you're still getting money from it. So every time, if you sell more of a product and you're just jacking up the price because you sell more of that product, rather than the other product that you're selling, I don't know. I just think it doesn't make sense because you have a product to stay all across the board the same dollar amount. And you're getting the same money all across the board. The only reason you jack it up is not because you need to recoup more costs. It's just because you want to make more money off that
song. But this is the supply and demand whole thing. Like if a certain shoe is real popular, the price of those shoes go up. If a song is more popular, the price of this,
But there's not 4 companies going together and shoe to like Nike.
To say we're going to do
Nike's not talking to Reebok and hey, let's raise up all our prices.
I see what you're saying.
So I have no problem if Sony BMG. Whoever has Mariah Carey, if they decide to raise up the prices on that, I think that would be okay. But the problem is, the 4 companies are so in tandem.
It's agreed together.
Right. Because if they raised the song for Mariah Carey, her CD sales would go down because people would not want to pay that.
I see what you're saying.
So that's why it's going on. Like that.
Man, I think I lost that one.
Yeah, you did. I won. So basically,
there's no score.
The greed of company dictates prices, and I don't like that. And you said only a socialist country would be able to avoid that.
But now I kind of agree with you. It's
win.
collusion.
It is
Boys
collusion.
and girls, collusion.
So there's no reason to raise up the songs, and bad, greed, bad. Next.
Bad greed, bad. Bad. Hey, we're not doing that story.
I forgot about that.
All right.
Second time.
All right, last story of the day is bonds exposed, and it's not what you think. Here's the beginning of the story. Beginning in 1998, with injections in his buttocks, which maybe it is what you think.
Is it bad to say butt? I don't know.
Buttocks.
Right.
It's very proper to say buttocks. Beginning in 1998, with injections in his buttocks of Winstrol, a powerful steroid, Barry Bonds took a wide array of performance-enhancing drugs over at least 5 seasons in a massive doping regimen that grew more and more sophisticated as the years went on. According to these two dudes who work for the San Francisco Chronicle, they're putting out this new book called Game of Shadows, and this is blowing up. Like, it's blowing up. Everywhere you turn, there's talks about Barry Bonds and his massive dope.
If you're into sports at all, have you ever watched the Sports Center within the past 2 weeks?
Sure.
Or a week now.
Week now.
You've heard of this story. You can't avoid this story.
Every time it's on, it's.
And just performance-enhancing drugs in general have taken this whole sports thing. I mean, you're seeing it in pretty much every sport. They're testing for performance-enhancing drugs, even in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Which is a great topic with us.
They brought athletes before Congress to testify on these things.
Right. This is no longer a light topic. So to come out. So you're not only you have this major topic of sports, and now you're bringing Bonds into the forefront of that topic.
I think most people initially hear the story and they're like, "Oh, Barry Bonds used steroids." Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
Look at him.
Yeah. The thing is that this book is a detailed, like sometimes day-to-day, drug-to-drug explanation of what he took. It's basically outlined that he took 10 types of performance-enhancing drugs. In every conceivable way, taking them orally or taking injections, rubbing cream on his muscles, whatever, up to 20 pills at a time. And so basically what this is it's not just that, somebody did steroids or something like that. It's like the detailed, dirty, nitty-gritty stuff of this. There's so much to say about this, but we're going to get to a couple things. When Bonds started taking them, why don't you tell us why?
The book comes out and talks about why Bonds started taking steroids. Basically, it was the season when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were hitting all their home runs, which you think is 97. Okay. And basically, Bonds had a great season that year.
Yeah.
But he wasn't in the same limelight, or he wasn't getting the same attention that Sosa and McGwire were getting.
Because McGwire hit like twice as many home runs as Barry Bonds.
I mean, 30 to 40 home runs in a season is pretty good
stuff. But then McGwire hit 70.
70, right.
Yeah.
And so Bonds apparently was jealous of Mark McGwire's success and attention, and so did he assume that Mark McGwire took drugs, or did he know that Mark McGwire?
He assumed. I think the word on the street was.
I'm sure he went to people and he's like, "Hey, what are they doing? I want to do that as well."
Sure.
And so, out of jealousy of Mark McGwire's success, Bonds wanted to do the same thing.
Right.
So he did.
He did. Bonds accused the whole deal of why McGwire was getting away with this kind of stuff on race. And you and I both agree that maybe at that time Bonds had something he could say. However, the reason that Bonds is getting in trouble now has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with taking cow steroids and human growth hormone.
Right. The fact of the matter, Bonds has been in the public eye for so long as far as being anti-media, him clashing with media constantly. And when that first started happening, sure. Go ahead and blame it on race because it's possible at that point.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about like 5 to 10 to however many years he's been doing this, of just constant battles, we've gone beyond race now.
Yeah.
Just that you're sort of a jerk sometimes.
There's people all over the place calling for all sorts of things. Some people want Bonds to retire. Some people are saying, like Faye Vincent, the past commissioner, I don't know what you'd call it, ex-commissioner of baseball, says that Bud Selig should start an investigation, hire outside people to do it. Selig is saying he's going to look into the matter. When the book comes out, he's going to have people check it out.
Now, if I can tangent on that real quickly, isn't that interesting that a book that, there were reporters in a certain high-fame newspaper, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they can get together and write a book on this topic to expose somebody and then create a whole controversy about that person.
Sure.
It's a lot of power in the press there.
I
think that's interesting.
I think what these guys, if you could talk to them, I heard a lot of interviews with them. They basically saw that there's a problem and that everybody was turning a blind eye to it.
So their ideal, or what they were trying to do was basically bring about
an answer to a problem.
Right, yeah, revolution as far as baseball goes to make it a better system.
The thing that I think is that what we see about this, and probably what we see about anything, is that people will do whatever it takes to get ahead.
Right.
To become number one, to get paid, to make more money. And this is what people are worried about this. If people see Bonds taking steroids and that he experiences success, McGuire, whoever, guys in football, whatever, what message does that send to the kids? Whether or not that's really the point, like, people will do whatever it takes to get ahead, thinking not about the consequences years down the road, as one of the commenters on socialtruth.com said, but thinking about success now and today.
Right now.
So I think that really this says if you could do something to get ahead, to make more money, to be the best, most people would do it.
I think most people would do it. Yeah. And the fact is, like, the Hall of Fame question's up for grabs right now. But maybe he doesn't even care about the Hall of Fame because this allowed him to get more money?
More money, more fame.
More fame, more instant fame now.
But now, I mean, he could be hated by everyone.
Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame, and everybody
Pete Rose
loves
isn't in the Hall of Fame.
And everybody loves him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah.
My bad.
Right, I see what you're saying. The question, I think, I don't know. The question is this, obviously it's not the best choice today. But if Bonds would have gotten away with it, and would people have cared? You know, like, if he broke Babe Ruth's record, then he broke Hank Aaron's record, and nobody ever broke this book, and we all knew that he looked like the Incredible Hulk, would that have been okay?
I think there's always going to be a taint team because all the guys I talk to, well, I think the general public doesn't like Bonds.
Right.
And so I think when Bonds breaks Babe Ruth's record, it's not going to be as bad as if he ever broke Hank Aaron's, which I don't think he will at this point. But there's always going to be a taint there because people don't, before this book came out, people knew Bonds used steroids. Yeah. It's so obvious if you, like, there's a website you can go to or you can just do a search for it.
On SI.com.
Yeah, and you can find where they take pictures of, before, during, after sort of thing, where he just kind of goes along his, like...
He explodes.
He goes, his body rips open. And spews forth muscle. But I think that people would care. I think it would always be tainted no matter what Bonds gets. I think this now takes it to the point where he can't achieve any kind of greatness anymore. I think it's just
he went from maybe being the best player ever to play the game to now being...
Which is so sad if you think about that. Because we are talking about not just... I mean, McGuire, people care about because he broke the home run record, but he wasn't...
Nobody thought he was the best.
Right, he wasn't anywhere close to Bonds' caliber as far as all-around player that he is. So, I don't know. I just think it's okay to be second best, and I think if Bonds was to realize that it's okay to during that season to not have all the pressure on you to strum along and keep at the same pace you're going to be the best baseball player ever.
Possibly, or at least one in the top 10.
Sorry, one in the top 10.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to make a blanket statement like that.
That's okay.
But the fact that he had to be the best, or he had to be the person in the spotlight, possibly to drive him to be a better baseball player, I don't know.
I think it comes back to the same thing you said about record companies and all this kind of stuff, is that greed drives us to do things.
Absolutely. That we wouldn't do in a normal setting.
Right.
Absolutely. I don't think Bonds is necessarily a bad person.
Sure.
But I think once you introduce greed to that situation, that he'll
take cow steroids.
He'll take cow steroids.
Do you want to talk about the poll question?
Yeah. So we're going to go have our poll for this week's going to be based upon this. So we're asking about if an athlete, and that's an athlete based on any sport, Olympics included, which are sports. If any athlete's caught using performance-enhancing drugs, should that player be banned from the sport that they're doing for life? And we'll have 4 options that you can respond to about that. So go to the website, which you probably can't see right now, and I apologize for that. We'll get that fixed.
Poll's right there.
It's going to be on the right-hand side of the website. Scroll down a little bit. Answer the poll there, and post a comment to the poll if you want. Register on the website. It's at the top border. It's click on register, sign up, post comments in the website, get involved. We post a few stories a day. You can respond to those. You don't if you don't want to. You can
tell us we're wrong. Tell us we're right.
Tell us you're wrong. Tell us you hate us. Tell us you love us.
Don't tell me you hate me.
Yeah, he's a little sorry. I can handle it though.
He can take it.
And so just become really your responses and your calls and your emails, which I'll give you information for in a second, are what's going to really drive us the site and the beginning area where we talk about you out there. So we're starting each show off with talking about some of the discussions in the poll and hopefully some voicemail. So you can call and leave us a voicemail at 773-598-TRUE, at 773-598-8783, or you can email us at socialtruth@gmail.com.
Yes.
And so call and leave a voicemail that you want us to respond to, or you just want aired on the show, or send us an email that you want us to respond to, aired on the show. And we'll do that in the first section of the show. And it'll be good. And
It'll be great.
And everyone will have a good time.
We'll all be happy friends.
And we'll be friends. And come, be our friend, please. So I'm Matt Kitchen.
And I'm Andy Sikora.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Later.